Hi there, my name is Chris Lundstrom. I'm a Florida licensed real estate broker and a certified property manager. Today I wanted to talk with you a little bit about leases and why, if you're renting out your Stuart or Port St. Lucie or Jensen Beach or Hobe Sound house, why you need a strong lease. No landlord wants to think about the worst case scenario when you hand your keys over to your tenant. We want to think about 12 great months with rent coming in on the first of each of those 12 months. But the fact is, while most times it goes that way, not always does it. And we need to, as they say, hope for the best but prepare for the worst. And where we do that is in our strong Florida residential lease. We have to face the fact that we're all human beings. Sometimes we get sick. We could lose our job, and when that happens to a tenant, it's going to be real hard for them to come up with their rent, oftentimes on the first of the month. And a strong lease is going to be the place where we define any grace periods, where we define our late fees, and where we define what happens if somebody can't pay their rent. Today, we live in a fairly litigious society, I think you might agree. And liability is something that we need to address inside of our leases. We have to follow, when we rent to members of the general public, a bevy of local, state, and federal laws. And these fair housing laws are nothing to joke about. You have to follow them, and you have to follow them to the letter of the law, or you're opening yourself up to additional liability that you just don't need. Now, these laws change. So not only do you need a strong lease that's well written and compliant with local, state, and federal laws, you also have to have it regularly updated. These changes happen often, and we update our lease often to stay on top of that curve. Also remember, while you can go to Home Depot or to the internet and you could download or buy these leases, if they aren't specifically written to be compliant in Florida, you're out of compliance. And what that means is terms inside of your lease may not be enforceable in a court of law, and the rules that you might be putting down might not be rules that could be followed or could be enforced. So something to think about there. Additionally, security deposits can be tricky. When you're holding other people's money, when you're holding a tenant security deposit, there's very specific rules on how those deposits need to be held in the state of Florida. And there's also very specific rules on how those deposits are to be claimed by a landlord if a tenant damages a house. All of that stuff needs to be defined in your lease, and it needs to be written so that it's compliant with Florida statute as well. A strong lease is also going to leave no doubt in a tenant's mind about what is allowed or what isn't allowed. Trust me from experience, there's nothing quite like driving around the corner to your rental property and finding 15 disassembled cars in the front yard. It's not what you want to see at your rental property. There may be some additional concerns that you have as well. Say your insurance company prohibits pit bull terriers from being in your rental property. You might need to have that in your lease. The lease is the place where you can put whatever it is that you need to put, whatever experience may have taught you to put into your lease to ensure that these types of things are covered, and if a tenant violates that, you can enforce and correct that behavior. A strong lease is your single most important tool to having a successful tenancy. Set the tenant's expectations up front so that they can be managed throughout the lease, and both the tenant and the landlord are going to be a whole lot happier. If you have any questions about a strong lease, or you need some guidance on how you could have a legally compliant agreement put together, we're happy to help. You can find us on the web at www.floridapm.net, or feel free to give us a call in the office, area code 772-220-0844. Thank you for watching our video today.